Welcome back, poggers, to another episode of the POG State. This is going to be our final one of the year, and for that reason, we've decided to answer the age-old POG State question, and that is, when is it going to be in the bathroom? Well, that answer is yes, it's today. It's happening right now. Here we go. POG State set. Dude, what the get out of here. Sorry, Brendan. Cut the video. Well, points for trying. Apologies, Valdez.
That was very strange.
Yeah, well, sometimes you attempt something that everyone wants and it doesn't work out. Anyway, welcome, Poggers, to another episode of the POG State. This is our final one of the year. We're here to say goodbye to 2022 and to welcome 2023, POG State style. I'm Atlas, this is Chronicler, this is Wolf, and this is Valdez. And we have been just having some time off, relaxing, maxing, mostly me doing the maxing part of it because that's my name. Chronicler, what have you been up to?
Not a lot. No, I really took the off-season to hard. I finished Persona 5, finished Tactics Ogre, which was great. I'm getting ready to play Persona 5 Strikers, and I've been doing a lot of cooking. I added some new forms of bread to my repertoire, made English muffins, which were great. Dabbled in some new soups, so it's really looking up for all Chronicle.
Dabbled in some soup.
It was a great time.
Anybody else soup dabbling or no?
I didn't dabble in any soups, but I spent a lot of time with Monte Cristo during Worlds. Then I went and saw my family, and so I basically spent the last 2 months outside of Korea, so I'm very glad to be back in Korea. Got America'd out, if you guys remember from the last episode where I was in America doing America things. Glad to be back in Korea, eating good Korean food and getting ready for some good Korean League of Legends.
Hell yeah. Valdez, what you been up to?
A lot of gaming, but in many different ways. I was playing a lot of games, but then I was casting a lot of other games, including a 12-day stint in Jeju Island, which was a lot of work. But I'm back here now, so a lot less off-seasoning like Mao, but definitely a lot of non-League of Legends stuff. So, just cleansing the system before we have to get back on the League of Legends hype train in January.
We did have those 2 weeks where we played like 8 hours of Spirit out in the day.
That was good.
That was great. That was a
really
good period. I forgot about that. That was lovely. Yeah,
Definitely
a lot of board gaming.
A lot of board gaming. As for me, I also did a lot of the playing video games and cooking, actually. A bit of wedding preparation as well. Also got a bit of an engagement party coming up in Australia, which I'm going to be heading towards in a few days, I guess.
Same.
Like a week and a
not
half
Australia,
or something like
but
that.
I'm also leaving.
But you're leaving the country as well.
Imagine if I followed you to Australia. That'd be fun.
That sounds great. I won't be there. You're leaving on the 18th, right? But yeah, I'm leaving a little bit later than that. So that's going to be really, really fun. But leading up to that, I played Pokemon. I played more Pokemon.
Still play Persona 5.
I still play too much Genshin Impact,
Spirit
as
Islands.
everyone knows. But I've been playing a lot of Spirit Island as well. We're definitely board gamers here in the LCK. We're yet to recruit Wolf, but he is going to become one.
I'm more open to it these days.
Yeah. He's
It's
definitely
gonna
going to get there. Another thing that I was doing was keeping up to date with the LCK Offseason. Other regions as well, just a little bit, but not so much. It's more about trying to work out how the LCK is going to look in 2023. And I'm feeling a bit optimistic. I'm not gonna lie, boys. I'm feeling pretty good about where we're sitting for next year. Outside of, DRX winning Worlds again. Don't know whether that's going to be a thing because the team's looking a little different now. But
A little bit.
I'm feeling pretty good about how the LCK is looking. How are we feeling as far as off-season trends are concerned?
I'm sad about the loss of Ruler. That's the one thing that I think we can all agree on. He was a player that I would have loved to see. He had an incredible Worlds as well, was by far the best on a pretty lackluster Genji compared to their expectations. Obviously still made semis, but I think the expectations for a lot of us were that they would do a lot better. Even in their wins, they were not as convincing as they were domestically. And there's a couple of challenger players, Photon most notably, that I would have loved to see debut in the LCK that went to other regions instead. Like, what was it, LGL, Photon going to LEC, LLA, all picking up a lot of players.
LCS.
as well. Well, that's
Good
like
old
a separate
Papa
topic.
Smithy. Papa Smithy's been like, he's waiting. He's like, as soon as I join this new team, I have some plans in the works, and he just yoinks Prince and Vikla. Oh man, he's a really smart guy, but dang, it's annoying.
I was really excited when Papa told me about Prince and Vikla coming over. He was like, "It's pretty much done, by the way. Like, just to let you know." And I was really bittersweet about it because I've been saying it for a long time. Like, Prince is perfect for NA. He's got the personality. He tries to speak English. He's going to get really popular there. But I really love Prince as a player, so I'm really sad to lose him. Vikla, I thought, was a really huge rising star, rookie of the year for our league that we lost. But I'm happy for them, and I'll offer a counterpoint to what you were saying about being sad about Ruler leaving. I think we've had so many amazing years of Ruler in Korea and at Worlds representing Korea. Then he wanted to try something else. He wanted to see what he could get. And I think it's really important for players to reach this point in their career and challenge themselves other places. So I think he's going to have a great year regardless, and we can watch him even if he's not here on our home turf.
We have Faker still. For a lot of years, right?
Too true.
Some things never change. Legendary players that stick around. I think our good teams are really good, and our not so good teams are not so good. I'm a little bit worried about some of the matchups being like epic stomps in the LCK. I don't know why it happened this way, but I do feel like it'll be a little bit of the top teams are very strong, and like the LCK can solidify itself as like the best in the world for maybe 2 years in a row. We'll see how the year goes. But I am a little bit worried about the LCK itself and the day-to-day matches, which might be if it's not top of the table, it might be bottom of the table.
We had some pretty bad teams at the very bottom last year as well, though, right? We had a very competitive top 7, right? And then we had
like playoffs, and then they didn't.
In spring.
Yeah,
in
that's
spring.
true.
Yeah.
If we're looking at all of 2023,
Yeah. But yeah, 2023 is looking like we are going to have some doozies at the bottom of the standings.
You know what the upside is, though? Ton of fun challenger storylines, which you should all study up on, because I don't know how much gameplay there will be in those games.
Well, I mean, I have the added benefit of being able to sit with you on a desk, potentially, in order to talk about those challenger players, and we'll wind you up and let you go. While Dundun's going 0-7, ready to win the game,
That's what he does. That's what he does. Yeah. No, I actually agree with Aldous. I do think that there's somewhat of a consolidation, and even amongst the top teams, it remains to be seen how successful it actually is. There's still some big question marks. I think for Damwon, for example, Kana in top. There is the bot lane for Genji, which I have very high hopes for, but we have seen players that were hyped up and not really be able to perform Hanwha Life, even though on paper has a lot of really good players, come enough of great tournaments. Whether they're actually going to work kind of remains to be seen. We've seen similar level of density of like good players kind of crash and burn, both in the LCK and in other regions. So little apprehensive about Hanwha.
I think that we will definitely have some of the stomps Valdez is talking about, but I think that it's perfect for forging players who grow quickly, right? And I think there will be, like, we needed new blood in the LCK at this level for a long time, and now we have this huge influx of new challengers talent that hopefully might not look great this year, and it might take some time, maybe even next year they're not amazing, but in 3 years' time, maybe those rosters would become the new heroes, the new stars we're talking about who win the World Championship, and I'm really hopeful that, yes, maybe it's not in 2023, but maybe 2024 and beyond, those talents will bud and grow into top-tier players.
Maybe it's just spring, like spring is always like kind of all over the place, and probably T1's going to win again, and then like we'll see what happens at MSI, but like maybe spring is a good time for everybody to just kind of get acquainted. And it might be a little bit of a shit show, but hopefully by summer we have like some guys who are vying for Rookie of the Year, and it'll be more interesting in that.
It will. And also looking at how spring looked this year rather, we had like Envy still playing. Like Liv Sandbox and AT were both bad, and they changed one player, and they went from very mediocre teams to teams that we all thought were going to make Worlds. Yeah. Neither of them obviously did, losing to the eventual World Champion, which is still mind-boggling. But I do think outside of specifically the Damwon top side, basically, besides Ilama, every good challenger player that you'd want right now is in the LCK, or a lot of them, or they went to other regions, in which case.
Everyone who's eligible, that is to say.
Everyone that you'd want to move up, or at least a lot of them, I think are going to be great. There might be some players, like Sylvie, for example, really surprised me when he debuted last year, because he wasn't that good, and I do expect him to be great now, and Vital. But maybe Bulldog's going to pop off. He's a player that's very good, but yeah, it might also be a similar situation that Halma found themselves in, where Karwas was good in spring, and then
Karwas is a bit of a sad story, especially where he's ended up for next year as well. But going back to what Wolf's saying, like you're talking about like growing and nurturing talent, I really do think that Pays and Bulldog are players to look out for right now. Like, these are two that are going to be really, really exciting to watch, especially at the beginning of spring and seeing how that development goes all the way up until the end of summer next year. I think that like 2023 is made so much more exciting purely because of exactly what you're talking about. All of this new talent that is now coming into the LCK. It's super cool. All right, but on that note, I do want to ask one more question before we get into board game time. First time that we've had board games here on the POG State desk, which is very, very exciting. But before that, I just want to talk about some fan reactions that we've had to a few of our teams thus far, and which ones we want to reinforce and which ones we might want to try and nip in the bud just a little bit. My most cautious fan reaction is, or the one that I'm a little bit frightened of, is people saying that Halma are going to be really good. That scares the crap out of me. Because, it's very exciting that that Viper's coming back. I'm so psyched that our boy is back in Korea, but he's been on Halma before. And, I just don't know whether it's going to be the team that they're looking for. What do you guys think? What are some of your takes that you thought were great, and some that you might be a little bit apprehensive of?
I'll start. I think that T1 fans are very happy the team didn't split up, and I think that's a correct take. I think they're going to be strong.
T1 is good, and that is good.
T1 is going to be the strongest season, I think, in spring because they all stayed together, and they're going to be, reusing that pre-existing synergy that got them almost all the way to the end, almost to another world title. From the get-go, right? And I think that gives them a huge inherent advantage. And I think T1 fans and general fans also have the same sentiment, but I think that, a lot of people were just happy because they didn't break up like all the other top teams did to a certain extent. But I think it's really healthy. I think that teams should be trying to build dynasties like this and staying together. And DRX, who did lift the trophy, couldn't actually maintain that roster, which doesn't even necessarily, probably wouldn't have been a great roster next year anyways necessarily, but they
wasn't a great roster last year.
Yeah, no. But anyway, I think T1 fans are excited, and they should be. I'll say that's a good take from the fans.
All right. We need a negative take. Valdez, you got one?
A negative take. I was going to say that Damwon is really good.
Oh, that's a positive take.
Yeah.
I have a negative take.
All right,
give it to Mr. Negative over here.
I think that...
Sorry.
It's true.
Mr. think he's very negative all the time.
That's me. I think the overall fan response regarding the Genji bot lane signing has been way too negative. So I actually think that...
Isn't this a positive take?
He's spinning it. He's spinning it.
Okay.
It's a negative
fan take.
Okay. You can't make me change. You gotta live with this.
This is what I
can do.
This is I want to disagree.
I'm disagreeing with the fan sentiment, and it's understandable because who watches challengers, right? And it's really Delight is not a player that had a lot of hype behind him because.
We were saying that Delight was good all year.
I know, we have. And I think as Rakan had a lot of highlight moments.
If you're paying attention.
But
if you're a real one.
Exactly. You want to talk about bro.
Hit that like button.
But I do think that Pays and Delight have the potential of being like one of the best bot lanes. I don't think they'll stand up to Guma and Carrier, but every other bot lane I can see them reliably beat. And I think that Pays' debut should be hyped as one of the most exciting players to come in since either Zeus or Guma Yushi, right? In terms of AD, it's specifically Guma. And it took Guma 2 years, but like if we look at the worlds that he had, he definitely lived up to his expectations.
It's amazing he comes in as Viper, who is the most hyped up AD carry of all time, returns to the LCK as well. So kind of a generational thing there. Feels
really,
amazing.
it's incredibly cool. And as I mentioned, I am still sad about Ruder leaving, but Pays debuting, I think will be really, really good. And anyone that's like, I don't know, I think POG will prove everyone wrong, and I think it'll be really, really cool to see.
Yep, I agree.
And
with
Delight as well, actually. Who they're obviously a little bit more of a known quantity, but even then, on Bro, like, I didn't think anyone really had the chance to shine there.
Yep. I want to go back to Brendan's point though about Damwon, because that team is really exciting. They also have started making cool content as well. The like intro video to 2023 that they had, it was like, I immediately linked it to Wolf. I'm like, holy crap, man! Like, this is everything.
And I watched the whole thing. Usually I don't watch these things. I watched the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh
Not a big fan
so
of the
good.
lame, like, this is our roster, but Damwon actually did a really good job. So.
And they did the like legacies thing, and they were wearing their jackets and stuff. Oh my god. But anyway, I think Damwon are an exciting team. I don't know how I feel about the top side of the map, because I haven't been much of a fan of Kana in.
I'm ready to give him a second
times.
chance. I'm ready to give him a second
Third
chance.
chance?
Third chance. I'm ready to give him a third chance. Okay.
I'm bullish on Connor. Just to be fair.
We're not counting Nong shit. We're not.
That
one's struck off the
Sometimes,
record.
nothing ever goes straight up unless you're Zeus, but you go for a little dip and then you come back up. It happens to the best of us.
It's like diving. Unless you hit the bottom and die.
I mean, Viper was 10th place in LCK.
Well, that
and then
never
he won
happened
Worlds.
to Kana. Okay, so he's
And
ready.
Lance.
He's back. He's with a really strong roster. I think it's going to be really good.
I never
I
thought
think
I'd
it's going to be really good in summer. I don't know about challenging T1 in spring.
I never thought I'd be the one to say it, guys, but I think it might be time for board games.
Here it is. Not necessarily a board game, but good enough. This is Jenga, but it's a different type of Jenga. Basically, we're going to draw a block. The block has a question on it. We have 5 seconds to answer that question as honestly as we possibly can. If we fail to answer, our minds balk or something like that, then somebody else will be able to draw in our face. I personally do not want that to happen.
I think only Mao is looking forward to the face drawing.
I think Mao, if Mao like gets a question like, how do you feel about challenger players? And he's like, that's when you know that he definitely just wants someone to draw in his face.
I want to draw on someone else's face.
And
I don't want to do both.
There's nothing stipulating here what should be drawn on said person's face. So it could be absolutely anything. So if Mao actually does mess it up, I'm going to write I hate board games across his forehead.
That's a lot of stuff to put on his face.
I know. It actually might have to just be his whole face. It's just,
do you think it'll fit on his forehead? Or?
It's a relatively large forehead. I don't know.
I think real estate.
Do you know? There's the best way to know is to try.
Just try, forehead.
Yeah, exactly. So as I was the one who introduced the game, maybe I should be the one that goes first, or should I be the one that decides who goes first?
You go first.
Go first.
All right. So wait, if I draw one, somebody else reads me the question?
Yeah. No, I think you just read it yourself, and then you have to read it out loud.
I have to read it out loud and answer it in 5 seconds?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
After the end of the thing being read.
Okay.
So read it slowly if you need help.
Yeah, exactly. Here we go. I'm a bit nervous. I really don't want I hate board games written on my head. Okay, here we go. What do you think of DRX not being able to keep the World Championship lineup? Sad but inevitable.
Sorry, third pick. Elaborate.
Wait, I thought these were going to be the questions.
That was a trick. You don't have all the questions in there. You don't have all the questions in there. That wouldn't be fun.
Yeah, no, I think that
makes sense.
Yeah.
So do we give our opinions now?
Yeah. Go. And we can discuss it a little bit, because it's an interesting question. Because DRX, if I was to expound on that one, expand on that, I would probably say it's because the DRX roster wasn't necessarily fantastic throughout the year. It wasn't like it was just the strongest team that we have in Korea. It was just that it was like a perfect storm of everything working out for those 5 players at that time. So I don't think that it's a team that you're necessarily like, oh, I hope they stay together so they can keep winning.
Yeah.
It's like, I hope they can stay together so that maybe they achieve something again at some pivotal moment.
That's T1, right? That's the roster where you're like, just stay together. With DRX, I think Zach has the only player where I'm like, if you want to increase your chances at World guaranteed, get him. everyone else on the roster has had such big ups and downs throughout the year.
I think it was the right thing to do. Like, they had their absolute miracle dream run, and I think to keep it together for something that would inevitably not be as good would have been the wrong thing to do. Like, it was just a bunch of different pieces that came together. It was the right thing. It was the magical 2020 Worlds for them. That would have never happened again. These 5 players would have never made it happen again. They're all great individually, but I think it was the right thing to do.
I think it's not quite the same, but it's almost like a modern day Rocks Tigers, where you go, all right, well, these players are played better individually in other places than they would have been staying together on this roster, because Lightning is probably not going to strike twice with this one. You know, I think everyone agrees this is a miracle that happened. If Worlds got reset and started again, even knowing what we know now, would not have predicted them to win the championship, right? I mean, so many things happened that were so close and just on the edge, and the amount of series they won in Game 5 to even get to Worlds, and then winning Game 5 in Worlds, it was just a crazy happenstance, really. I mean, credit to them, but I think it makes sense. Like Atlas said, I think sad but inevitable is the truest way to answer.
Face survives, hell yeah.
It's mind-blowing to me that the only team that DRX did not beat in a 3-2 in their entire run, starting at leading up to Worlds, was Genji. They 3-1 Genji. Everything else was a 3-2 win.
Yeah. And it's what EDG did, you know, the year before as well. I mean, just often the teams that go through the grueling process are the ones that generally make it to the final in a better position. All right, next.
Sorry, that was just my watch. I'm going to turn that off.
Hello? Trying to distract me here? Worlds 2022 recap using 3 words only. Miracle run, yes.
Boom! Why don't you just say
I think it was good
miracle
enough.
run?
You know, that's what it was.
Yeah, miracle one, comma the.
Because the thing is about Worlds 2022 is that I feel like there were all these other stories jumbled up, and they all were very cool, but at the end none of them mattered because the recap was
you're 100%
DRX
correct. Yeah,
won it all, and that was amazing.
For me, I mean, for me, it's
don't know.
really easy to say the Worlds recap in 3 words. Best Worlds ever.
yeah, that's that one too.
Best Worlds ever. I mean, it was the best Worlds I think that we're going to get for a long time. I mean, we had so many storylines, so many great teams. Level of play was insane for most of the regions that are good. Was insane. And,
Good save.
look, top 8 was awesome, mostly, and we had a lot of cool storylines that happened even in the group stage, and you know we were all very worried about how DRX was going to perform, and obviously those worries were put to rest. But even if you're an LPL fan, I think you probably enjoyed how things went at the end. Like there's a lot to learn, there's a lot to improve on, and I mean, I just thought it was amazing. I thought it was a great tournament with so many storylines. Def versus Faker, but Genji, the big favorites, you know, not able to cross the finish line.
JDG as well.
JDG, my favorite to win, didn't make it to the finals.
In addition to that, the overall response from the community was also, I think, aided by not just the storyline, which was one of the best parts, but also we've had 2 worlds that were just mired in COVID, right? Like, and actually going back to crowds the way that this Worlds was, I think, was something that made it even more special. Even without all the things that made a great level of play, barring Yumi, I think the Matt and Aatrox, who were like obviously extremely overtuned, there was actually still a lot of development in the meta up until the finals.
I mean, the amount of champions played was
the highest ever.
like,
Yeah.
absolutely
Oh, we had
huge.
a running tally, and like it just kept going. We broke the record like a week or so into groups.
Yeah.
Like it just kept going and going and going. It'll be really, really hard to top out, because even if you get it Worlds with more champions, are you also going to get the fan response to be as visceral and as enthusiastic? You know, are you going to get a storyline even half as good? Probably not.
Yeah. All right, Wolf.
All right.
Choose a Jenga block.
First reaction when you found out Nuguri is retiring, very sad and just unhappy.
Oh, was that 5 seconds? No, I don't. I think he's.
I think he has to answer. He has to give an answer within 5 seconds. I don't think your answer has to be only.
Yeah.
He gave the first part of the answer.
Yeah.
And
I
then
basically said the same thing twice. I was like very sad and also unhappy, which is what sad means.
I wasn't surprised though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To me, as sad as it was, even though Nuguri was perfectly serviceable as a top lane, he was still like top half, right, within the LCK.
Yeah.
Helped Damwon a lot. To me, it was it's hard to really put into words, but it felt like he just didn't have the heart anymore. And I think that it showed in what made this player so special was the creativity, the weird stuff that he brought, and the way
it was almost
that,
the arrogance that he played with.
Yeah,
and without that confidence, it becomes
It just never really felt the same. And I think that if for him as well, if he didn't get that feeling while being reunited with Kenyon and Showmaker, two players that were with him from the beginning, you know, that was the core that got it done, that won Worlds 2020, probably never going to happen again.
Unretiring players are so rare. Where Nuguri like took a sabbatical, right? But it was like, is he retired? And then he came back, and everyone was like, okay, he's just trying to like mess with some contract stuff, but like he's coming back. He wants to come at a specific timing. But I think after watching him play, it really did feel like legitimately like his heart wasn't in it, as you say. And
still good, but.
And maybe it's the right time to retire if you're not in it, and maybe he'll change his mind one day because he's still very young and still could potentially play in the future. We have seen players come back, but it's unsurprising, but it is sad because I feel like he didn't even necessarily reach his peak, and that's...
I mean, he won Worlds, so...
But I think that,
good.
but I think even that is not necessarily like his peak. He didn't hit the consistency. He didn't hit like the greatest top laner of all time. He could have gotten there one day.
And it's also one of those things that's really interesting because it was also at the same time as Prince returning. Like we had Nuguri and Prince come back at the same time summer last year, or this year, I guess. And Prince, we saw how much he flourished, and Nuguri just didn't quite get there. And so I think there's like a harsh contrast as well. So it's a little bit sad that he's going, but I don't think that, like, based on what we saw this year, I don't think it's too much of a surprise.
It also showcases the weight of expectations, where something that Ruder said in an interview as well is like, I've been one of the best AD carries and I don't really enjoy anything. I think with Nuguri it might be the same, right? Where if that enjoyment isn't there and you've already hit your peak, it might actually be harder to still find joy in playing, because it's much harder to get back on top than it is to...
It's hard to find the motivation as well if you're not, if the goal isn't there.
I think it's kind of what Showmaker said a lot, where it's like, we already won Worlds, how do we stay at the top? And I think he not coming in right away after winning Worlds, or I guess after 2021, then, coming back was kind of like, I'll give it another try, but it wasn't truly like 100%. So yeah, unsurprising. I thought, especially after he came back and it was kind of like, he wasn't bad, but he wasn't amazing. So if he wasn't going to hit another level, if he wasn't going to like try to hit that level, I think it might just be for the best.
Kind of.
If he didn't want to play, if he wanted to play, then sure, that would have been great.
He
would have found the spot.
Yeah. I think if your heart's not in it, then leaving after having a great Worlds run, honestly, like that best of 5 Genji Damwon, probably some of the best League of Legends I've ever seen in my life. So like that
every
was
time.
Amazing.
I hope that stays the same. Because last year every single best of 5 between those two was mind-blowing.
I mean, it could definitely still be the case, just
so.
because of how good those rosters still look with the limited changes that they made. All right, Chronicler, can you do it?
Yes, very tough.
Oh, he's a middleman.
I know.
All right.
Who do you think will win the 2023 spring? T1. Next. Can I get another?
Yeah,
that one didn't
literally take another one.
But we do have 9, so
take another one. It's like actually we don't even need to talk about
it. We don't talk about it.
We talked about it earlier.
Yeah,
so
T1's gonna win.
Can we put in like a little? What? Okay, never mind. Okay, continue next.
All right, there we go.
Which 2023 LCK roster looks least interesting? T1. They're not interesting because I think they're going to dunk. Yeah. Right? Like they're really
and it's
good.
Also they haven't changed. So
no,
that's interesting in its own right.
No, I specifically framing interesting as the questions going into the split. What is this team going to offer? Is
it's the least interesting because they're just going to smack everyone. Yep.
Yeah, because I think that this roster is very clearly good enough to win Worlds. They made every single finals in 2023, or in 2022 rather. I would not be surprised if the same thing happens, regardless of them winning in 2023 as well. And every single player is incredible. They learned a lot clearly. We saw that all it takes for Zeus to finally look like a rookie was reach the Worlds finals. So, now that he's made that, maybe next time he will not be nervous in his best of 5 in the World Championship. Yeah, I think the roster is going to do exactly what it did last year. So I don't think it's in the least bit interesting, but it'll be very good.
Yep. I think it's not going to be interesting at all watching them win Worlds next year. I mean, it's not even like, I just think that like talking about it now, I think that the expectation for T1 is that they win Worlds. And if something else happens, that's the interesting thing.
for me, I'm keeping it spring focused, right? Like, let's see what happens after spring. Like, I don't want to say they're going to win Worlds.
Remember when DRX won Worlds 2022? I remember.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to drop out in groups, pretty much.
Yeah.
A lot of us didn't even think they would make Worlds.
Yeah.
I mean, none of us
Made
think they'd make Worlds. We were like, is it
They
going to be...
lost to an auto
Is it going to be
field
Live Sandbox
So-
or KT?
Yeah.
So I don't think...
No,
I'm
you
not
can't
going to
predict
say
the
that they're
future.
going to win Worlds right now.
No, it's about
I'll say
expectation.
that Domlin's going to win Worlds right now.
Nice.
There you go.
That's my choice.
Gen G is my brave choice.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in pace. But no, I think for spring and for least interesting, T1's my...
I think it's an interesting take. However, I agree. All right. Do we have anything to add? No?
No, the Jenga blocks to the table. That's what we got to add.
I think KT looks pretty non-interesting to me.
Oh, that is the actual base take. That is the base take right there.
It has a lot of players that I think have gotten a lot of chances, and they're going to be put together, and I don't think they're going to be very
serious.
good. Yeah.
I just think that
No, I'm
if
being
you
serious.
say that KT are
No, I'm
uninteresting,
being serious.
that is exactly what you need to do.
No, I want to hear his actual take.
Yeah.
That was it. That was it.
Okay.
Right.
Good take.
Live Sandbox is also just really, like, it's a shell of itself. And
Ooh, but that's like,
It's a
that's
little
not
bit like,
uninteresting.
oh.
That's actively sad.
yeah.
Well,
In a
That's what I
boring
was
way.
thinking. Like,
it
I'm
kind of looks
thinking like,
uninteresting because you know that they're just not going to be good.
yeah.
So you don't expect anything. There's nothing to really look into. It's like, okay.
The romance is gone.
Yeah.
There's no romance anymore.
Kyle's locked alone, sadly, in the team. Maybe
Croco
next year I'll be
escaped.
free. Croco got out. Prince got out.
There you go.
Yeah. Kyle and
thought-
Karis had to die for
I thought
Croco.
Croco and Kyle were going to go to the LPL. So this is, one in GL, one in actually a pretty decent team. Middle of the pack, sure, but like should be a good team in DRX. Completely fine. I'll take it.
DRX middle of the
Max.
pack.
Draw the cube.
Okay.
Log.
Okay. Which region had the craziest off-season? Probably LCS. I think
Elaborate.
I'm going to go and say LEC. You
like,
can go first.
with the fact that Bjergsen and Doublelift are coming back onto 100 Thieves, and I'm really invested in Vikler and Prince on, Papa Smithy's team, that's what made it interesting for me. I also just haven't kept up with enough LEC, so if that is the correct take, then it's
Weird.
It's just everything has changed, and also the format is totally changed. So I think it just by default had the craziest offseason.
We have a format
Oh,
change.
but I found out about the format change before the off-season started, so I'm not including that.
Yeah, well,
I think
it's the transition between the seasons.
Yeah.
well,
true.
Still counts.
before this happened, this is one of the questions that was not hidden, and I was like, do I want to say the LCK? Like, can I do that hot take? No, I don't think so. I think it's the LCS. I'm really excited with the Korean roster that Papa Smithy put together, mostly Korean roster, for FlyQuest, and taking FlyQuest, which was a team that was considered to be very weak and uninteresting, I think, by a lot of fans' standards, is now a team that everyone's talking about. Very exciting. 2 of our favorite players are on that roster. Impact moving into the top lane there is really fun. And Team Liquid getting our boy POG, and we got some interesting stuff that happened that I just didn't see coming in terms of which players would move from Korea to LCS. Usually it's like some bottom tier players, some players are like, yeah, he could do well, but we'll see. But they actually got some really good players from Korea that seem like they would do well in the LCS. So I'm happy for that.
I'm gonna go with I thought about LPL because LPL is completely restructured so many big teams, but I also was expecting a little more because most of RNG is still together. JDG is obviously upgraded. I mean, adding Ruler to your roster generally will do that, and adding Knight as well is definitely a spooky one.
I mean, if that team doesn't win now,
holy
crap.
But I think I'm with Valdez. I think the LEC, in combination of both the structural changes, but also the amount of players that have come in, collapse of some ERLs, the NLC is in complete shambles, which takes away a lot of the talent pipeline as well. We got the TCL and everything slotted in, so And in terms of players, Chasey now made it from ERL's NLC to the LCS, or LEC rather, on Mad Lions. Photon is actually, I think, one of the biggest signings.
He was a really sad loss.
Yeah, he's definitely I'd argue him and Noah are like the big losses that we that we had
Outside
in terms
of Prince and Vikla.
Yeah, but I'm talking challengers, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no. If you talk LCK, Ruler and Prince would be above. Yeah. But in terms of players that I would have loved to see debut, he was high on the list. So yeah, I think LEC is very, very different next year. Very crazy.
Agree.
Right. Get it, Valduni.
Is LCK winning 2023 Worlds? Yes. They're going to win Worlds through Damwon and their crazy new roster. Kana's actually going to be good. Def's going to win twice in a row. It's going to be fun.
I love this man's takes. I love this man's takes
I
so
would have
much.
said hopefully.
No, I'm confident.
I think the LPL definitely took some hits in terms of their offseason so far, and
Yeah, so
we'll
the LCK is
see.
gonna win.
We'll see what they, how they perform. Because, again, it's really hard to make predictions about this right now, but it's a fun question. I think the LEC will be more competitive. I don't think they're going to win Worlds, but I think the LEC will be kind of a dark horse region because they got a lot of good players. Their format is better. They're playing more series now, so they're actually getting involved and thinking about what happens in game 2 instead of just the only game that happens, game 1. So hoping the LEC is more competitive. I think they will be, but if I had to guess, if I drew that Jenga block and had to answer really fast, I'd say probably. I want to say yes, but I'd say probably.
Yeah,
I'd say definitely.
I'm on the probably train, but it's probably because I do think that LPL might have some shifts towards summer as well, and I do think the JG roster looks like a roster that can definitely win Worlds. So there also some players who at Worlds have struggled a little bit. Knight to me is a big example of it just never seems to happen, similar to someone like Peanut. But I'd actually go on the contrary. I think that the gap we saw last Worlds is really big, and it's LPL, LCK, or bust. So I actually think that coming into last Worlds, I was expecting LEC and LCS to at least match, and it was not even remotely close. And I think it really showcases the structural advantage that the two upper regions have, and taking away any opportunity for a wildcard LEC team to do really, really well, I think gives the LCK relatively a much higher chance. So that's my take. I think that it's definitely most likely based on the rosters that we have.
I just think T1 has built up way too much plot armor, and it just has to happen this time. Otherwise, I'm just going to have Carrier replaying in my mind over and over again, and it's been happening since the World Final, and I just can't handle it, and I need that team to just win. Just get it out of the system.
We have too many strong teams that are looking even stronger than last year, and LPL kind of took a hit. And I watched enough of LEC, LCS in 2022 to know that coming into Worlds, they were going to get stomped. And next year, I am not confident that much will change.
Valdez is next year I would not be watching those regions.
I didn't want to say that, but yes.
You watched a lot though.
I
didn't
did.
you?
I watched a good amount.
When I got my Twitch recap this morning, I looked at it. I watched a lot of LEC. I watched a lot of LEC.
I actually watched a lot of LCS because I go to sleep. I'm not I'm generally not on gamer schedule, so I wake up early and then I'll catch the LCS, and I'll keep doing that because I do think that they have a CLG running it back, and then obviously FlyQuest and Liquid, that will be fun. See what all these
100 Thieves, man.
I'm
old man Bjergsen and Double Lift coming back. God, I'm excited.
They also have two of them. Booster in particular has 65% win rate in Korean solo queue,
and Closer is super good. That guy's really good.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about that.
I was very confused for that. That's a mid laner. Oh no, hold up.
Not our one. The other one. The other one.
I'm very excited for Papa Smithy, and I wish him the best.
Nice.
I'm excited for that too. Yeah. I like both his ex-team and his new team. I'm excited about them. All right, do we have another? We have another blocker. Here we
got 2 blocks left.
These are all questions, by the way. Jason wrote all of them down.
So
but we're only going to do 9.
This one's going to be pretty. We've talked about this a lot, but I guess I'll give a really short answer.
2.
Thoughts on Pyosik, Prince, Vikla moving to the LCS? Very optimistic about their chances. That's my answer. I think that Pyosik, Prince, those 2 players of these 3 are players that will be very successful career-wise in the LCS. I think Prince is an outgoing personality. He's outspoken. He speaks English or tries to speak English as much as possible. I think by the end of the year, he'll have a pretty good English speaking ability. He's going to do interviews. He's going to do fun ceremonies and stuff like that. POG, same thing. Like the guy loves to stand up and get known. And I think a lot of people in America who have never even heard of POG are going to be like, this guy's awesome. When he puts his headset on, like it's a Star Trek character and runs around and does like Lee Sin kicks and stuff like that. People are going to love that. I think those two players are like, I don't want to say they're made to play in the LCS, but like that region will love them. And I think even if they don't win LCS or become like a great team that competes at Worlds at the end of the year, I think both of those players are going to look insanely good to the American fans. I think they'll both be very popular. Their streams will get big. Good career move for both of them.
POG and Prince, especially if they POG, because I know Prince already speaks some English. If POG like learns English, I think he can become one of the most popular players in the region.
He doesn't even need to. He's so expressive, just like without even speaking the language. It doesn't even really matter.
But I do think that I kind of echo the sentiment. I think those two players will be very beloved, and Vikla has the potential to become like a core JJ, right? Where like he's someone who actively keeps pushing. Because I personally think that if we might not know, Vikla is very young. If you're making the call to go to NA, my expectation is if you're a player that young, your expectation is to stay around there for a while.
Or right? Just like you're going there to crush the region.
Well, yeah, but also
I imagine that's
at the very least, but also stay in the region, because I think that going back to the LCK, if you're not an established player, like if Prince doesn't have a great split and comes back, I think he'll have a much easier time than someone like Vikla. So assuming that he made a call based on long term, I really like it. I think that it's a really exciting moment for the LCS to see how he can develop and push the region forward.
And Aria back to the LJL is another one, in similar vein, isn't it, guys?
Why you had to do it? Why do you have to do it to them, man?
Vikla would have really benefited from going to Worlds and learning a little bit about what life is like in America. Other than that, you know, we always see young players going to new regions and then they're like, oh man, like I thought I was going to love it in China, but actually I really couldn't, you know, I couldn't stomach the food and I really miss Korean food and my family and like, I want to just go back. You know, like we've heard that story. So as long as they make him very comfortable over there, which I think they will, given that he's on that team, I think he will destroy every single mid laner that exists in that region and it will not be close. So I think he's going to have a great time.
They have, I don't know if this is announced yet, the rumor is they also got Song as well.
Oh, that's really cool.
From DRX, in case you're not...
Song?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where did Mowgli go?
Mowgli was also signed, but I don't know who. Maybe he's still
I thought he stayed
DRX?
in the LCK. Yeah, I think he's still with DRX.
Could very well be. All right. T1 actually did make changes, by the way. They have a new coaching staff for the, fourth time.
Let's not go into that.
Anyway.
We had
it's all perfect. And please no truck emojis in the comments. All right, is this one last one? Is this mine or Mouse?
Jenga one. I know which question it is too, if it's one of the ones on the paper.
All right, now go.
It is.
Which two took the L this offseason? Oh God, Kwangdong.
Kwangdong? What?
That's not the right option.
I mean, that's not correct.
This might be a face drawing.
However,
this might be a face drawing.
I mean, you could say that.
I don't know. I think they
But
took
I
the L.
mean, they did take a L, but they didn't take the fattest.
It does say
actually-
L.
yeah.
There's no L in off-season.
That's because it was taken by Kwangdong.
My actual answer is probably Sandbox. So I answered it wrong. So
I don't want to draw on your face, Chronicler.
No, I mean I also don't.
But
You could just draw
You
an
did
L
answer
on
the
his
question.
forehead and say Chronicler took the L.
Yeah.
Okay, well, actually, yeah, you're doing that. You're doing that right
Can
now.
I do it with a black marker so it's easier for him to get it off?
I think it's
Is
eyeliner.
it easier to get off? I think.
It's
Oh,
on
it's
the
eyeliner.
other cheek, the one that people can see.
All right.
Yeah, there you go.
Because I'll go into...
That looks like a hockey stick.
Yeah, it looks like
More
a
than
hockey
anything
stick.
else.
Well, it's like you've tried to draw on a fake cheekbone in the wrong spot and upside
I've
down.
never drawn on a cheekbone before.
I'll go and explain why I think it's Sandbox. Sandbox brought back Envy, unfortunately, which we saw what happened last spring when he was subbed out. That was when the roster kind of came alive. I also think that even though I'm really, really happy that Birdle has a spot again, I think overall that roster doesn't really have the anchoring that it would need to actually develop the players. So I think you don't really have a lot of experience. You don't really have a lot of the wildcard factor that the roster used to have for the last few years, right? Between Croco and Prince last split, like I think they took the biggest nosedive out of any team. Because Nongshim would be the case, but I actually quite like the Challenger roster, and also they were obviously the saddest story of last year's LCK.
Yeah, so Nongshim kind of got burnt for spending money on players in a big way, so I kind of respect the idea of like, well, we won Challenger, let's just use that roster. That sounds like a way better idea.
Yeah. I mean, that roster is great. I think they could actually contest like the lower half of the bracket above them.
Yeah, I think that they won't be last, because last is going to be Live Sandbox or Fred Brian.
Yeah. Bro was the other option.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Live Sandbox as well. I think for a team that was so hyped and so exciting,
they fell the furthest, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the main
Like,
thing, yeah.
how can you go from like the insane momentum to just like, it's, you know, it's just really frustrating. For
They
all
live
Sandbox
on.
fans.
Their spirit lives on DRX in 2023. If you were a Live Sandbox fan, just hop on over to DRX.
And hear me out. If you were a Fred Brian fan, you go to Nongshim.
Yeah.
If you like the mojo, if
so
you like the memes...
Nongshim is now our... Nongshim?
No, because
Nongshim is now the GigaChad team.
Nongshim has everything.
Nongshim is actually the GigaChad team now.
They have a memeable, hilarious top laner. They have a genuinely good jungler. They have a player called Fiesta in mid. He's not that good, but we're going to gloss over that because his name is Fiesta.
Yeah.
You have Peter.
He's got my heart already. That's my favorite team this entire year.
Yeah. And then you have Vital, who's also like Sylvie and Vital are legitimately good, like
and
mid-tier
that's
LCK
OPL talent.
Players.
That's OPL talent, right? So we've got all of the Australian
You hit all the
fans.
bases.
Yeah.
So if you were a Bro fan, we go to Nongshim. If you were a Sandbox fan, you go to DRX. And if you're a KT fan, you stay with KT. Yes.
Yeah.
If you're a KT fan,
Speaking of which, if I can add this in, the team that thinks they got a W but took the largest L, KT. Because that's a team where you got a bunch of players that did not look very good, but they have big names, and I think it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
I hope Live Sandbox can keep their romance. Like, I love the meme, you know, but rom-coms, sometimes you get a sequel. Sometimes you have Legally Blonde 2, but there's no 3. You know, like, you don't make the third. You don't make the third rom-com. I don't know. I'm hoping for something, because we were really building something with this team. You know, at first we're like, okay, Sandbox, not so great, but like they're working on it. They're okay. Like when they first joined the LCK, then Live Sandbox, rough start. The last year was like, all right, like Chronicler's hopes and dreams actually were realized, and I hope. Look, we thought it was going to be bad before, and then it was great. So maybe, but I think they took the L.
Yeah, that's. I think it's understandable because they fell the furthest.
Yeah.
And all right, I think that is going to be it for our beautiful game of Jenga. We are going to continue playing and read off all of the other questions, but off camera, because we just don't want to show you guys all of the other questions that G-Sun definitely did right on the.
We also played Jenga the
blocks.
only correct way. I just want to highlight that. We did a really good job.
Who takes all the chocolate bars from the cafeteria? I can't answer this one.
We just had the LCK Awards yesterday, and now it is time for the POG State Awards. We have 3 to give out. Oh, yes. Claps in the chat. We have 3 to give out, and we're going to give our reasoning, and we're going to celebrate with some gigantic trophies. They're huge. You have no idea. All right. So, the first POG State Award that we're going to be giving out is going to be for what was your favorite 2022 LCK LoL Esports moment? The moment is going to somehow manage to claim a gigantic trophy. After the episode, there'll be one of those.
And you can't answer the T1 analyst either as your favorite moment.
He was also the only moment, if you'll remember. No,
What about Bro Momento? Can I vote for that? or
Yeah.
100% you can.
not? Okay.
Your favorite moment could have been the first time someone typed "Bro GigaChad" in the Twitch chat of the LCK and
I
saved
feel like the
LCK
obvious
Twitch chat.
one is DRX's super wholesome Worlds win. But that's like almost too easy.
I think
But that is
I think
like
it's their
it's-
quarters win.
That was going to be
Well,
my
okay,
jokes, yeah.
yes,
But,
but like the
anything
whole
pertaining to
because
that.
this is pretty broad. This is like the entire year of LCK LoL Esports and like the entire run. I think encompassing their like so many wholesome moments throughout the whole thing that it's like hard not to pick that.
So you exclude it because it would just win.
No, I think it wins
No,
because it would win.
I think it just wins.
Yeah.
That's like when you predict the wrong person, and Max gets angry. You're not allowed to predict the wrong thing because
Remember when I predicted DRX to win over KT?
there's only one
Remember
right
that?
prediction. Yeah.
I do get upset.
So that would be like the main one for many different reasons. I think all Deft fans, all LoL fans, all Worlds fans. You know, there were so many fun, awesome moments, like best Worlds ever, wholesome moments of like interviews and stuff. We had G-Sun up there for a couple. LCK getting lots of representation. LCK winning again. You know, there's like so many good things within that whole run that it's
Taking
hard to beat that.
Valdez.
But I'd say when we did the Giga Chad segment on the carpet space. that's my favorite moment of 2022.
It was very good. It was very good.
Spectacular.
So I think, you know, we'll probably have different answers for most of these, but I think everyone will answer the DRX run like as it is like collectively it wins the POG State Award, but everyone can give their opinions. My moment I want to shout out for like LCK Awards for POG State here for like the LCK moment or the like whole all esports moment is actually when Genji won LCK Summer. It's just a feeling of, it was a super one-sided finals, and it wasn't an exciting finals at all, but you could tell when the players walked on the stage, when they walked up and got announced by Caster John, like, you could tell they were all uncertain. Like, are we actually going to do this? Like, of course we're going to do this. This is, like, our best chance. But you could tell they were, like, they couldn't even believe that they were about to win a finals. And seeing the emotions after they won and how happy everyone was and almost relieved that they actually finally did it, and all those players finally got their first title. I think that was for me like a really special moment. I was glad to be a part of that, and I think it's one of those moments because of all the crazy, amazing stuff that happened with DRX and Worlds that like people will forget about for 2022. But Genji's win I think was really special to me.
It's a really good one.
How about the MSI 2022 finals?
No.
Anyone choosing that one?
I didn't watch it. I was on an airplane.
I did not. I don't.
Okay.
I don't like thinking about MSI. Any MSI recently.
I don't know. Didn't T1 win that? Because they went to the final
Yeah.
against Orange. I assumed
Yeah,
they
yeah,
won.
yeah, they won.
And then I went about my business for the rest
So-
of the
Yeah.
Obviously, the actual moments for me, and I want to highlight a specific moment, is the quarterfinal interview. I think that interview with G-Sun and Shox and Deft goes down as like one of the most. That's going to be like that's a Hall of Fame moment, right? Because even though the actual World Win was more mind blowing, the fact that he got past quarters for the first time since 2014, and him like that was and
it was on his birthday.
yeah, on his birthday, and being there, and also against EDG, and like the EDG fans were also all crying, and everyone was crying. It was just that
After
that
the
was,
inhibitor trolled him.
yeah, that was the moment, right? But outside of that, it's probably Nongshim winning Challenger. Because if you have not seen that, like, I want to also shout out, like, the situation. I invited everyone else, but everyone else had, as they should, much better things to do because we were in Gangneung for the finals weekend. And I was just sitting in my hotel room hoping that the internet would work. We got, like, pizza. I was just sitting there, and it was 2-0 for Damwon. And Damwon had been, like, crushing everyone. Nongshim wasn't even supposed to be there.
I remember this because we were
You
out
were
having
out.
a drink. I
Yes,
think
you were out. You were out
and we just
drinking.
had you in our
Yeah.
we had you in our group chat just saying like, guys, they're doing it. We're like, what is he even talking about? And we like open it on our phones and we like watch the last few games, and it was insane.
So yeah, because basically what happened is they shouldn't have won like 3 games in a row, and then in the final game, Dun Dun on an 0-7 Jax won the game single-handedly, because you gotta understand, these challenger players, split pushing doesn't exist. It's only fight. And there was just this moron who kept giggling on the player cam as well. He's like, I'm 0-5 now. I'm running down the lane. And Damwon legitimately is like, why does he keep split pushing? Like, what is happening? And they lost. And like, obviously, all these kids are like 16, 17. But like, I can only imagine coach afterwards like, yeah, that's split pushing, baby. Like, what are you gonna do? And Nongshim just won.
First time the coach ever saw it too. It doesn't happen in solo queue either.
What is this? Actually, the only time I might have seen it was when the Baus was in Korea for MSI when he was playing.
I was gonna say, I mean, Dundun definitely saw.
Yeah, because he also didn't also play. That actually was one of my favorite moments. Yeah, that was. Everything came together for that win. It was really, really fun.
Just so mine is definitely Deft's interview.
Yeah,
I think I don't think that I can even have like a backup because I just think that it was just such a huge moment, and everything else has kind of eclipsed it in my brain.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to give it to that. I guess there's also the fact that Fred at Breon did fix Twitch chat. Which I do think is a really huge
It's really
thing
remarkable.
It's a
that
big
needs
one, yeah.
shouting out. Because, sometimes we have slower games and Twitch chat is very frustrating. But when it's slower games with Fred at Breon, it's just wholesome. Everything's Giga Chat. Even if it's sarcastic, I don't give a shit. It's still Giga Chat.
It doesn't matter.
It feels great.
Yeah.
So that makes me very happy. So that would be my honorable mention. But I think that, G-Sun with her extraordinarily fantastic interviewing capabilities, as well as Deft's birthday being held on that stage after they win. What more could you ask for, really? All right, second one. Who
was your favorite 2022 POG State moment?
I was trolled. Okay. What was your favorite 2022?
My favorite
POG
was
State
Atlas.
moment? Aww. Mine was Valdez.
Aww.
My favorite 2022 POG State moment was when we did it in the bathroom.
What did we do in the bathroom? Just
That
the
was
way you
hor-
worded
that
that.
was-
I don't think that's.
That was horrible,
When we
Atlas.
did it in
That's
the
my
bathroom.
least favorite
We
moment.
should
POG
say that.
Stated in the bathroom.
Oh,
Thanks for the
I
context.
see.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
Max. That helps a lot.
It's PG-13,
Yeah.
guys.
What is your actual favorite moment?
My favorite POG State moment, oh man. The thing is, it's really hard to remember which year we did stuff in. Because we've been doing the POG State for quite some time now. So
This year was the.
I mean, there's a lot of just really amazing things that happened in the POG
Weren't we
State.
like remote last year?
For a large part of it, yeah.
Because I'm
But
trying.
not fully.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember
Maybe I'm
when
thinking
we
of
did.
2020.
I'll take a really obvious one.
Okay.
The Challengers trailer.
Damn it, that was gonna be mine.
I think that
Where's
every
Pyoshik? Who are these players? Where's Pyoshik?
That line in of itself is amazing, but also like Wolf being like, yeah, I never watched Challengers, but now with Chronic, and Val's being like, it's okay, like
Yeah, it's
everything.
okay, I guess.
Yeah, cut off. Like that to me is like because it's the perfect encapsulation of LCK because it's like it has everyone. There's comedy, but there's also actual like you're actually trying to sell the story of the players, right? Like it's just.
Who are these players? Where is Pyoshik? In these troubling times, there is one man that can show you the way.
I've been a fan of Korean esports for 10 years.
It's the Chronicler with a 1 instead of an I Challenges League co-stream on Twitch. Get to know all of the new faces you've been seeing in the LCK. Critics are saying,
I wasn't really familiar with any of these Challenger players, but then I found Chronicler's Challenger stream, and now I'm a big fan.
this is it, the greatest Twitch stream ever created.
Yeah, it's okay. It's good.
Hardened by ice and steel. One man, forged by flame and by blood. Heir to the mystic fire. This hero of old, our warrior poet. Do you have what it takes to watch this man? Let us rejoice in glory. Watch Chronicler on Twitch today.
Maybe get me a little bit of the soup.
Quality is bitch sometimes, but otherwise very much enjoy the content. Good stuff.
It was fantastic though. So that was probably one of, as far as the content that was made this year, definitely one of my favorites as well. But Valdez, what would you say?
I liked
your POG
Atlas
State
the
moment was?
teddy bear. Welcome back, Poggers, to the POG State. I am Valdez, and I will be your host today. Atlas was very friendly and decided to let me host here on one of the last episodes. Thank you so much, Atlas.
Oh, yeah.
Atlas teddy bear was a great one.
I did
Big
look
fan of
better
that.
as a teddy bear.
And that's the kind of shot calling you need for this. Atlas, do you have any other thoughts about Damonkia and their run here in summer?
Hello, yes. Bear Atlas here.
I should have kept that look.
I liked how even through all of the struggles of the team getting COVID and all this stuff, we were still able to have Atlas Teddy Bear join us on the POG State, and you were a teddy bear.
I was.
That was one of my favorite moments.
I really enjoyed being in America and doing like
Doing American
cooking and
things.
stuff and yeah,
And
doing
having
American
hamburgers
things.
in your background.
Yeah.
T1 JDG series was really interesting, and I know that a lot of people are going to criticize me for my JDG prediction.
That was very fun. I really enjoyed that. That and all the advertisements that we did, our sponsored segments and stuff with the LCK merch.
Keep your head warm.
Only 26K!
Patch on some patches.
Patches sold separately. Marketing.
Why do you have like 2 top lanes? Are you you're top lane for both teams?
It was really fun. We had a lot of fun doing stuff like that.
Only 26K.
Yeah, I hope we do more of that next year.
There's one specific piece of content that has not been released yet that I would wish would have seen the light of day. And it's the pause video that we record. It's really disturbing.
It is very strange.
Gepauzeerd.
Pause.
Paused.
Pause.
Pause. 일시정 pause.
It's really weird. It's one of my favorite moments because I'm like, even now I'm like, was that a good idea? Should we have done that? Like, would it actually have been a good call to put it on broadcast? Like, I don't know.
But it's actually fantastic. Just for some added context, we recorded it for, what was it, the spring finals?
Finals, yeah.
Yeah, we recorded it for the spring final in case there were any pauses, so that we could play this video instead of having us sit on air and fill, or having some awkward scenes, something like that. It was just a fallback so that we'd have some time to regroup, and it was weird. What was the saddest moment of 2022? And I mean that's.
Can I do the honors as our resident?
Yeah,
you should be.
Carria crying on the finals, not the finals, but Worlds. Saddest moment by far. Nothing comes close.
I mean, that's the saddest moment that I've witnessed, I think, since I started. As far as the impact, the emotional impact of that moment, I don't think that anything else was quite as bad.
I think it really shows the passion and the drive that these players have and how much they want to win so badly and how much it means to them. And, Carrier's playing against his friends and his former teammates as well. And, the foil to this is actually Deft coming over, and trying to console, and
Pioshik hugging him.
Pioshik as well. That is definitely, I think, one of the most historic, post-finals moments we will ever see. I think it, for me, eclipses even Faker's loss in 2017.
I mean, it's the beautiful juxtaposition, though, right? Faker is on that stage, but even Faker, you guys saw the photo that won, the photo of the year. That is an example of Faker now not being the one collapsing. He's the one now trying to look out for the rest of his teammates, and it's a really beautiful thing. That I imagine that that photo of Faker crying is the one that won photo of the year in 2017, and then like you now bring it all the way up here, and it's Carrier that's breaking down, and I mean that moment, man, it slays me even now. I'm still thinking about it. I said it at the top of the episode, like I'm still thinking about it. I need it to be fixed.
It's not a specific moment per se, but I think everyone agrees that the Carrier one is like what we would collectively agree is like wins the award. It's the saddest moment. But I think for me, I would choose as an honorable mention the COVID that happened in spring that affected a lot of teams, and Nongshim in particular.
Oh, sure.
You know, really never recovered from that, and I'm so glad that we, as a league, and you know, as a team of casters and all the players, everybody was able to get through that. It was a really hard time for everyone. I think everybody really worked hard to make sure we could make the LCK still operate during COVID. It was a really tough and hard time this year, and it was very sad because we didn't get to see all the rosters all the time, and certain teams had to put weird substitutes in and stuff like that, and we changed the rules to make it better for summer, and now we're moving into 2023. Hopefully, you know, knock on wood, everything's going to be good on that. So I just wanted to mention that one as like a tough thing we all went through, all the teams went through, and we got past it.
Yeah, you already mentioned Nongshim. Ghost's interview, Ghost and Dread, honestly, like the both of them just breaking down after having what was like one of the worst splits that we've seen. You know, it's like up there with Summer, DRX in 2021, Hanwha Live the year past in Summer as well. It was just this team coming in could have been a top easy playoffs team, you know, like with the quality of players, and none of that ever came to fruition. And Ghost in particular, to me, is a player that he was never the carry on Dalmon, right? And he didn't need to be. He was at times, he was definitely one of the liabilities on the team together with Beryl. But I also think that it's kind of gone beyond that, and he's just very often seen as the scapegoat, seen as the a player that, as nice as he is, just doesn't pull through in the right moments. And seeing him have that interview and just still thank the fans and like we tried so hard, really showcases the as you mentioned earlier, right? It's the contrast between a team wherever there's winners, there have to be losers, and outside of the Carrier moment, that would be, if the Carrier moment hadn't happened, that would probably be my most memorable moment, what I'm going to think of for years to come. You know, a team that had players that individually should be good enough, but they just weren't, partially because of just not being good, partially because of COVID and all the other circumstances.
Yeah, there's a lot of things stacking on top of it, but Nongshim were just really sad. I wonder whether there's like a clip of what we, like us talking about the teams at the beginning of this year. And I remember, in my head, I said something along the lines of, this Nongshim team could honestly be one of the best in the LCK.
They could.
And then they just were not. And that was a little bit sad. But anyway, those are going to be the awards that we are going to give out for our POG State Awards. The gigantic trophies will be given out.
Yeah, we're ending on a downer there.
We're going to end
moly.
We're going to end the awards on a downer, but we do have, you know, it's not the very end.
Can I impromptu, super short, super quick mini award for your favorite carpet space moments? Because there's a lot.
Carpet space moment?
Favorite carpet space moment.
Well, favorite LCK moment, like encapsulated carpet space, but we can make its own little...
Yeah, specifically, I want specifically like your favorites, because we had so many fun ones.
Well, don't say all of them. I don't want to say theirs, yeah.
Mine was Ziggs walking down bot lane with jungle music for a minute.
Of the Ziggs. And this is a track. This is a journey, and Ziggs knows what to do. And the important thing is that while this is happening, in the far distant lands, Herald is being taken.
It is.
We don't care about that.
This is
a man on a mission, or Yodel on a mission, I should say. No boots. You know, no brown bags, no fancy sorcerer pet, nothing. He just needs to get to the wave. And to the wave he did. And
that was definitely...
You know what I forgot about was the yoga, the quirky yoga.
The yoga one.
The yoga moment, yeah.
Hello, everybody. This is your teacher, Valdez, here at the Meditation and Mindfulness Circle. I am joined today by Assistant Chronicler, who will be teaching us some Dutch meditation methods, and he is very good at that.
That was really fun.
That was
yoga
a really
teacher Valdez. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite moment was probably, it's my favorite and least favorite at the same time, was when Genji cut all my hair off.
Final. I am wigless. But actually, no. I did it early. It's Baldus.
I knew that was going to come up at some point today.
Yeah.
I'm glad it was you, bro.
Yeah, I think that was that's the most memorable
space moment.
You know, I mean, but like
it's a 2022 moment.
It was a 2022 moment that I thought needed. I think this is the time.
It is
to
reminisce. Honorable mentions.
I do have to give an honorable mention to all of us playing Slay the Spire every day for about 2 months.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Sunday afternoons.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
After POG State, just everyone playing different Slay the Spire runs.
Or even, between the games sometimes when we had those long breaks where we're all just bringing our Switches to the studio. That was a fun 2022 moment.
It's been a good year.
Good year. It was a really good year.
Yeah. I'm glad that we did this honorable mentions part instead of just doing sadness and then
all four of us.
Yeah, I couldn't.
All four of us working every single day.
Yeah,
for the entire year.
That was a lot of camaraderie built up this year.
Yeah,
true.
Imagine also co-streaming.
Let's do it again. We'll do it again.
Again.
Can we do it again for 2023? This is it's been a whole lot of fun, and not only the whole year, but also this episode. Just had a great time with you guys. Haven't seen Wolf for a really long time, by the way. He's been away, and then he's come back, then he's been working, and then Valdez also been in Jeju, like you mentioned earlier, so haven't been able to hang out all the four of us.
Still catching up on sleep.
Yeah. So it's just been really great to be able to hang out, especially with you guys. So I think that is probably going to do it. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Happy New Year, and we'll see you for some sweet, sweet 2023 LCK action in only a month's time or something? Less than that? Like, holy crap.
Put on a hat.
Oh, get on your hat.
Get the hat.
Yeah, get your hat.
Hat
Get
him
on
up.
the hat.
Chronicler.
Quickly.
For the wave moment. I just
There
have
we
the
go.
hat on for like...
It should just like pop in. Yeah.
That's good.
Merry Christmas!
Happy holidays!